friends. Here we are. Welcome. Welcome to the countdown of 21 days to the Spiritist Symposium, the 12th U.S. Spiritist Symposium in Washington, D.C. What a joy. For the first time ever, we have a national Spiritist meeting with a nationwide effort to happen exactly in the capital of the United States of America. A beautiful program that is going to happen in actually 20 days. Because today is April 1st and we are in the very beginning of these efforts, the countdown. We have here tonight our dear friend Bernadette Leal, who will be joining us to talk a little bit more about one of the most essential components of this program, which is not only for adults. Did you know that in the United States of America, when we do a national meeting, we also have space for activities for children and youth? And it has been 12 years. Since day one, we have accommodated the children and youth, and it has been like this ever since. And it won't be different this time. And you welcome you and your children. And Bernadette Leal is going to be here with us in a minute to tell us about a beautiful workshop for Spiritist educators, as well as tell us about the program for youth and children. They have a specific program. The educators work very diligently in that regard. And you know, for all those who are following us, this is not a moment only to announce to you what's gonna happen there, but also to ask for your help, to pray together. It's when we are 21 days in a row preparing together the grounds for this beautiful effort. Even if you're living elsewhere in this world, you're part of it. You're part of it because this meeting, the 12th U.S. Spiritist Symposium, is also your way as a spiritist and as a friend to join forces, bringing new vibrations to the capital of the United States of America. Because after all, there's only one boat, and the boat is called Earth. The Earth is interdependent in its different parts. If you're living in another part of the world, you depend on the USA as much as we depend on you. So we ask for you to join us in your prayers, with your kind words, etc. So you can also ask questions, okay? I see here our friend Leia Severo. The United States Spirits Federation is here with us. Our dear Sergio Santos, Lu Saboia, Renata Santos, thank you very much. Addison Bossali, Sunshine is here with us. Ricardo Bittencourt, Ana Cris, Glauco Cardoso, Elisângela, Luciana Souza, Laura Colirri, our dear Andrea Torres, and many more friends. Feel free to ask your question, and we'll also address, because sometimes your question brings about a topic or an insight that will be beneficial to all. This U.S. Spiritist Symposium is titled Enlightening Answers to Our Daily Questions. There is no best time on the earth than to address the daily questions that we have. And Spiritism can do it all. Let me open the line here for our dear Bernadette Leal, who is going to talk to us right now. Hello, Bernadette. How are you? Happy Easter.
Hey, happy Easter. Hello, Vanessa. Hello.
How are you?
I'm doing good here in
Lots of chocolate eggs?
No, not really.
No.
Trying to lose a little bit of weight. You know, we're going to go on this diet, although we really need a spiritual diet just to go through the narrow door. You know, all those vices that we have. So But no, but today I volunteered at a church and helping the kids with Easter egg hunting, and it was very cute. So they ate all
That's
the candy
beautiful.
for me.
And you're talking about a church, Bernadette. You came from a Catholic background and then you became a Spiritist. And you
Mm-hmm.
have been actively working on Spiritism in the United States of America, specifically not only in San Diego, California, but you also have a nationwide um, commitment as well, together with the United States Spiritist Federation and its Children and Youth Department. Would you like to tell us a little bit about the beauty of the works of with children and youth in Spiritism?
Oh, I would love to. So, um, well, children, we know it's so important. And when I think of children, I think first of us, because as we learn about reincarnation, we forget that we're going to come back as children. So when we say the children are the future, we are the children of we are the children of the future too.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want this world to be better when we come back, so we need to do something. And we also need to work with children. And I'm really worried about it because as a teacher, I see a lot of kids with trauma, no spirituality, very aggressive, gangs. So this was worry always on my mind. So
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to create lessons that first work a lot on the moral values, the teachings of Jesus. And
Mm-hmm.
what I love about Spiritism is that we can connect the moral with the thinking. And that's what made me change, although I'm very grateful for being raised Catholic, amazingly. I
Mm-hmm.
was missing that link, that thinking that Spiritism gives to me, and I'm very grateful. So when I came to the United States in San Diego, there was nothing here in my town. And I had a child and I was extremely worried about it. So there is nothing here for her when she was 5 years old. So I start thinking in the future, that's what I want to do. I want to help children. And not only that, I want to help parents,
Mm-hmm.
educators, because I've been there and I'm still working on it to become a better parent. Um, and how important it is to plant the seed of spirituality, that we are eternal human beings. And then when I became a teacher, then everything got together in my head because then I could work on lesson plans. I learned a little bit of Waldorf school. I studied to become
Mm-hmm.
a Waldorf school teacher for a couple of years, and then I went to public school. And and that's pretty much my passion. My
Yeah.
passion is, and do whatever I can to help those beautiful souls. Challenging, very challenging. This new generation is, oh my gosh. If you're a parent today, you know
Yeah.
what I'm talking about. If you're an
Yeah.
educator today, you know. And the spirit is educator when those beautiful souls come and the cute, cute faces and the cute bodies come there and you see their
But
personality, we need to do a lot to help.
exactly. So you're talking about, Bernadette, the fact that there is the need also to bring this spiritual awareness to youth, and it's not that the spirits are not aware of it, but in our society, especially in the United States, God has been put aside of everything. We no longer have space for spirituality and religiosity in our daily lives, in schools or
Mm-hmm.
activities. So we pretty much can tell that we're living in a generation that is not given um, space to commune with God ostensibly. So it's hard, and I want to
Mm-hmm.
show to the people who are, I'm going to share a little bit of the screen here because we have here with us the flyer of the program for the children in the symposium. And it talks about how they are going to also have their questions addressed in their lives. So the
Mm-hmm.
program in the symposium is going to give children 5 and up an opportunity to have their own questions addressed. And the whole day, they're going to have specific activities in a parallel room or parallel rooms with educators discussing about um, the answers to their daily questions, right, Bernadette? You want to tell us more, a little more to the ones who have their children? So why they
Yes.
should bring their children to this program, please, Bernadette?
All right. When I was thinking about the topic, um, it came to me the word why. Why? This is something that all children ask and even us. So, at first, this is what came to my mind. The three P's, letter P. It
Mm.
was pain, progress, and prayer. So,
Ah,
we're going to start talking about pain and suffering.
pain and suffering.
Pain. Why you suffer? Why you go through a lot of trials? Because the kids go. It could be just dealing with their little brother and little sister, right? And then how does this connect? How does it help you to progress?
Mm-hmm.
And how prayer helps you during those moments. So we're gonna learn about how the pain and suffering bring makes you stronger. You learn about the consequences. You take actions. You grow spiritually. You pray. You become more compassionate. And this is something that Spiritism really helps us to deal with all those trials in our lives.
Mm-hmm.
So things we are still learning. So we're going to start with this with the kids, with little stories, situations of this people, this person, this boy or this girl, this little animal, and they were sad, something happened, and what happened in the end? What did you learn with it? And the first part we're going to do this dealing with challenges, and then in the afternoon we're going to go, all right. So not only what you have learned, but what are the coping skills? Because as an educator and a teacher, a lot of my students they do have coping skills, which is punching, kicking, doing something violent. So wait a minute.
Yeah.
What about
Yeah.
praying? What about breathing? What are other things that you can learn? Because you are growing, you're going to go through that. And then also, we're going to dedicate some time during the program for their own questions. And this is going to be really good with the youth program, which Claudia Nunez, when she's talking to you, she's going to talk more on how we're going to deal with this. And because teenagers, they have tons of questions, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So that's I try to do to align with our when you know what's going on. Why does this happen to me? Why did you do this? Why I don't deserve? What we are trying to do with the kids is take away that idea of victim because we feel like we are victims. You
Yes.
know, it's not my fault. One thing they say, kids, is she's mad at me for no reason. He did this to me for no reason. And I say, honey, there is always a reason. You will not be aware of the reason is you might not like the reason. And the
Mm.
reason can be something else that happened to them at home and we're at the end of the line. But there is always a reason. It's what to do when that happens.
Yeah.
And of course, it's going to be age appropriate. With little stories for the little ones and going deeper. The teenagers always connecting with the Spirit's book and Kardec teachings in the books.
That's beautiful. And Bernadette, there is also going to be a moment in the symposium, which is going to be precisely at 4:30 p.m. In a separate room. There will be two workshops, and one of the workshops is going to be for Spiritist educators. When you, Carol Correa Smith, Ligia Carvalho, and Alba Morales are going to be exploring techniques for children and youth as Spiritist educators. So this is going to be a workshop giving um, practical tools for Spiritist educators. It's almost like a continuing course for Spiritist educators um, to implement in their programs, in their sense. You want to tell us more about what you guys been preparing in that regard?
Sure. Actually, we had a wonderful meeting yesterday with this beautiful ladies, so creative. And it's so good when we have all the four of us so passionate about education and
Uh-huh.
with different experience with the same love. Um, After our meeting, we decided that the problem that we see, so the challenge that we see, is that we have a lot of volunteers, but they are not necessarily teachers. So they do not come from a teaching background.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the questions that is very common is about lesson planning, how to write a lesson,
Yeah.
and the challenges that we have in the classroom. So we're gonna have a few minutes that's gonna be theory. Ligia Carvalho is going to introduce a little bit of the theory about you being an educator, the children, about teaching, and then we're going to split into two groups.
Mm.
Sit in a room, and we're going to teach a mini lesson where they're going to work with us. So we're going to very fast. This is a lesson with a topic that we're going
Uh-huh.
to. We already have the topic. I don't know if I'm going to say, but it's just we have a topic for the young ones, and then we're gonna do a mini lesson together with several techniques on how to engage the child, and then and
Wow.
then you're gonna have the teenagers doing the same.
Uh-huh.
It's gonna be led by Ligia and Alba, and Carol and I are gonna be working with the kids, and then later they're gonna switch. Why? Because if you work at a spiritual center as an educator, sometimes you might have in the room all the ages together.
Mm-hmm.
That's very common because you don't have a lot of teenagers or children, or you don't have enough space. So even though you be teaching a young child, suddenly you might need to teach a teenager. So it's always good. And it's going to be a lot of hands-on doing. We're gonna have some music too. We're gonna try to add games and activities. It's gonna be a lot of fun. A lot of fun.
Yeah, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. And Bernadette, I was looking at the registration. If people go to the spiritistsymposium.org website, they're gonna get the information. There is a registration. For
Yeah.
children, it's only $10. It's almost unbelievable because it's so much work on the behind the scenes. They're gonna be granted a whole day of program, and it's so beautiful. It's so uplifting. They're gonna mingle with other children who are being raised under the same principles and opportunities. I see that it's such a blessing that it's almost as if we're living in a different planet because such a program does not exist in this world yet, right? Yeah?
And one of the things that I love to hear, I've been doing this for 10 years.
Uh-huh.
The youth
Yeah.
program with the symposium. I just didn't go to the first one, Balmore, and last year because of some personal issues. But the kids come to this room and they are just like in awe. They're like, so what happened, honey? I didn't know that there are other kids that go to Spiritist Center. I thought it was just me, just my center.
Mhm.
And they are so excited that they are not the only ones. So they bond and they are all happy that, guess what,
Yeah.
I can talk about reincarnation and you know what I'm talking about. You're just like, I thought it was just me. It's adorable.
Mhm.
It's adorable.
I won't forget, Bernadette, when you first coordinated the activities on in Florida. I think it was Fort Lauderdale in
Yeah.
2010, right?
Yeah, there's
When
so
you
many kids. Oh
there
my
were so
god.
many, you brought them all to stage and you're
Yeah.
singing and you brought the whole crowd to sing together, and
Yeah.
it was
Remember
like
the song?
well, that's a stretch, huh?
What the healing power flows through me, right?
Yeah.
Healing power flows through me. Everybody was dancing. It
Yeah.
was good.
And I agree with you. When I will never forget, Bernadette, you said something that is unbelievable. What we need the most is to recognize that we're not alone. And I won't forget when I was only 8 years old in the city of Rio de Janeiro. We were living there for a while with my family and participating in a Spiritist center. And we were brought to this Spiritist activities day, and they were talking about Moses and the Spiritist view on the Ten Commandments. And to date, the lesson was so impacting that I remembered the disposition of the classroom, the teacher, the desks, the people, even the paper on the desk and what was written. And I was only 8 years old. It's not like a million years ago, but it was a while ago. And I remember the feeling. It was like so deeply touching. And often I feel that that vibrational imprinting on that day gives me a lot of fuel to date. To
Mhm.
date. And all the activities that I participated later in the Spiritist youth activities, outreach activities, etc., kept bringing to me the certainty that that was the way to go. And here we are today. You had your experience since the Catholic Church and then into Spiritism, and now you are bringing um, one of the leading educators in this country, together with others, that are bringing to the new generation this certainty that they are not alone, that they have not only a voice, but a space to experience the depth of their religiosity, their spirituality. So it reminds me, Bernadette,
Mhm.
of a message that I read in the book Living Spring by Emmanuel, that I would like just to quote a few excerpts as a means for us to bring this conversation to a closure today. Um, as we pray together with the people who are with us right now or who will be watching on demand, so we can raise vibrations to this beautiful moment that is being built as we speak and will be materialized on April 21st in the capital of Washington, D.C. Emmanuel titles chapter 106, Let Us Serve the Good. And he quotes from John chapter 1 verse 5, the light shines in the darkness. And I see many children, as you say, that are going through nowadays, and youth, a lot of anxiety, a lot of stress, a lot of anguishes. And he begins Emmanuel by saying, do not feel afflicted because you seem to be alone as you serve the good, he says to us. Jesus too was alone before bringing his companions together for the apostolic endeavor. He was alone, facing a vast world like a farmer who has no tools with which to work to clear an immense forest. Nevertheless, Christianity emerged as a living temple of love, and it is still under construction for human happiness. Jesus, however, despite knowing the power, the truth that he brought within him, did not use his superiority to humiliate or hurt anyone. He did not waste time on inappropriate criticisms. He did not engage in pointless arguments. He actually established the redemptive kingdom. And I'm just cutting short to go to the very end of this message. Therefore, let us continue on our redemptive march ahead, even when we feel alone. It reminds me of a week ago when we were in the March for Us, for Our Lives, all the youth of this country gathering together in Washington, D.C. to march for their lives. And I think it's so beautiful that this year we have this spiritual march through the U.S. Spiritist Symposium, also opening the doors, the gateways to the expression of the children and youth. And he says, let us serve the good above all and avoid arguments and bad situations where evil can expand itself. Flee the darkness for the radiance of the light. Let us remember that even though thousands of miles of darkness in the middle of the night cannot quench even a half inch of the shining flame of a candle, all it takes is a puff of wind to extinguish it. So let us serve the good. And I think the enlightening answers come as this candle to, you know, vanish with the darkness that exists in the hearts of many.
Yes,
Right, Bernadette?
exactly. Because the light always wins. Always. Always.
Yeah.
Jesus, the light is, oh my gosh, and Jesus is the light. And we can be the light every day. And we can be the light. And we think we are alone, but we are not. Because when we connect to the light and we choose to be the light, we have here, oh, so much light. All these inviting spirits, they are here with us, pushing us. Even when you think about quitting, no, they know. They are
Yes.
there. Hold their hands and celebrating today Jesus. Jesus,
Yeah.
reason. And because Jesus is in here with us in our heart. So let's embrace the light every day.
Yeah. But Bernadette, last year in the symposium, um, we had the Child of God song that was brought up
Yes.
to the stage with the children, and you are also a singer. You play your guitar. As before we say the final prayer, praying for the harmonization and the preparation of these beautiful efforts in the capital of Washington, D.C. Today we were in D.C. serving the homeless as the Spiritist Society of Virginia, and we had the friends and us who were distributing the postcards of the program of the symposium in the streets. So we could feel it's coming. It's
Yes.
coming. It's being built. So since you also sing songs and you have a beautiful voice, would you like to wrap up this moment in a musical prayer form?
Oh my God.
Because you're so good at it. Would you like?
Yes. So I would
Yes?
sing forgiveness.
All
How do you
right.
feel?
All
All
right.
right?
We're all yours. Yes.
Okay, here you go. Forgiveness today, forgiveness is the way. Forgiveness is a powerful tool. Forgiveness right now. Forgiveness is good. Forgiveness for me and you. Forgiveness is smart. Forgive in your heart. Forgive and you be forgiven. Love and compassion. Letting go is the answer. So forgive, forgive, forgive. 3 times. All
All
right.
right. That's our prayer that forgiveness can take the capital of the world on
Yes.
April 21st. Thank you, Bernadette. Thank you for
All
your
right.
time, for your loving heart, and for being with us and encouraging the new generation to step forward and lead the way. Thank you.
All right. Thank you all.
Thank you,
Bye.
friends. Bye bye, and until tomorrow on our countdown to the United States Spiritist Symposium on April 21st, 2018. I think you shouldn't miss it. Wherever you are in the world, if you want, join us. It's not only in the US, it's inside the US, but it's for everyone around the world. Big hug, and God willing, we'll be back tomorrow for our 21 days countdown to the 12th US Spiritist Symposium. Thank you.